Hello, and welcome back to Wowza Studio Sessions, live from the floor of NAB at the Wowza booth, Suite 11010. I have a very special guest with me today from Zender TV. Patrick Debois is here. We're here to talk about ultra-low latency, which is an exciting topic.
Yes, totally.
And it is very much the future at this point. Let's talk to me about Zender, about specifically what you guys do, when you started.
Yeah. So Zender is a platform for digital mobile formats, specifically on top of live streaming. So we provide the typical things like chat, poll voting, trivia, and other types of interactions on top of a live stream, but typically also mobile first.
Gotcha. So it's something that a developer would put in their app, not necessarily something if we wanted to go live on Facebook and poll. Would we use Zender to do that?
Correct.
Okay.
Because a lot of the broadcasters, they want to have it on their own platform with their own analytics, with their own CRM, with their own monetization. So it's a white label solution they can kind of put in their own apps or that they want to do.
That's awesome. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of interactivity now with live streaming. So we've got like trivia apps that'll do a lot of interactivity. We've got a lot of question and answer. I know a lot of celebrities are going live doing question and answer options, whether that's on whatever platform that happens to be. I know a lot of Instagram Live, a lot of Facebook Live, a lot of YouTube Live. So have you guys have any involvement with that?
Yes, we've done several interaction shows. So we come from a second screen background for TV shows, but this is now advancing to maybe not only on TV, or not even on TV anymore. So that's what makes it exciting on mobile devices to do it only there. Yes.
Yeah, we're a bunch of cord cutters now.
Yes, correct. The millennials nobody finds anymore. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then Mixer as well, which is a competitor of Twitch.
Yes. Twitch has been known for their game streaming and that type. They did a very interesting experiment on having people, by chatting, directing the Pokemon game. So that was interesting. Like everybody could kind of play the levels and kind of say left, right, and the character will go to.
Oh, wow.
So that was their first type of mass interactivity to solve like a game puzzle. Like they played all levels of Pokemon. And then their competitor, Mixer, they are really taking the level of interactivity. So not only live stream and chat, but they're adding buttons on top of the screen where they can influence what the player actually does. So does he get extra lives? Will he have to jump a hoop in the game? So this is the kind of interactivity that they're like exploring.
So anyone watching can decide they want to push one of the buttons?
Yes, totally. Yeah.
So how do they decide which viewer gets to be at the front of that? If they're
there's taking turns.
Okay.
So you get a limit of the number of interactions that you can do.
Yeah.
There's even the one example where they have like a Nerf gun that people control, and then they will shoot somebody.
Like a carnival
kind
game.
of that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see these type of interactivity emerge.
Yeah. So that is, we talked about trivia and then voting and now this. What other types of interactivity are you experiencing?
One of the examples that Nickelodeon does is they have an escape room. So the people at home try to help the person to kind of escape a room.
Yeah.
And so, they give clues and so that kind of helping somebody or I think the most important is there is feedback from the audience in the format, and then they can influence that. So that's kind of what we are looking for. Because most of the previous examples, they will do something on the side, but they're not influencing what actually happens on the show. So the new formats will actually have an impact on the show with a mass audience. So that's what makes it like really exciting.
Yeah, we all know. I think Blue's Clues might have been the first show, which was also Nickelodeon, the first shows to have this idea of having the people at home think that they're also interacting with the show. And this was, 20 years ago when it came out. And none of that was actually heard, obviously, because it, first of all, wasn't live, and second of all, there was no way to interact. But it's really cool now that Nickelodeon's using that same concept,
Correct.
and they're actually implementing a way to interact.
Yeah.
So is this based on Nickelodeon.com that they've got this?
I don't know that specifically, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the person is actually live in the escape room, and they're receiving prompts from viewers.
Yes. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And maybe I can add to that. So we're working with a company called Wonder Media, and they what they do is basically they have a virtual character for children that is animated by puppeteering, like by the hand. Okay. And because it's live, you can, like, that character is not limited by the physics that a real person is. So they can do anything with the character. And then the children can really, like, interact, and then it changes what that person does, or what that character does. So think, like you mentioned Blue Clues, but think Dora the Explorer. Like, what do we need to do? And they're all shouting, and kind of that character is really changing what happens. So
wow. It's crazy to think that there'll be a full generation of people who, when they talk to the TV or the computer, they know that they are being heard.
Yeah.
We didn't grow up with that.
Correct.
You knew no one was actually hearing you on the other side.
There's a study saying that children below 7 years old, they have more confidence in a virtual character than in a real person on TV.
There was a study that found that to be true?
Yeah. So they really can identify with the virtual character much easier. And if that talks, it's like,
Yeah. Was this an international study?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
And somewhat intimidating.
That's
the
true.
Kid's not going to believe me. They're going to believe the bot that's next to me.
In the 1990s, there was actually already something similar in Germany.
Okay.
And that was a show where they, again, had a virtual character, but somebody would call in by phone, and then by the buttons on your phone, the voices, the tones,
he
would control a mini game with the virtual character in.
Just by hitting different numbers for the different tones?
At that time, only one person who called in and could play. And now we're at the level that everybody can be at the same influencing the game itself. So
definitely. So a lot of this, we're talking about all of these interactivities, but it's all thanks to low latency streaming.
Correct. If you wanna really have the feeling that you as a viewer have an influence on the show, it has to be in the number of seconds. Otherwise, your attention span, they say, well, okay, I'm not doing anything, and I'm too late, or in the chat if it takes like 20 seconds. So that's where the ultra low latency becomes like super important. And I'm not even talking about betting. That's even a different ball game.
Yeah.
But the fact that, in a couple of seconds, the presenter gives you feedback, that's, it's even more engaging. And companies like Mixer, they have something that called faster than light. So to really keep that latency low, and they've seen the viewers, just the numbers skyrocket because they can do all this low latency.
That's one of my favorite things about the new Clearcaster is that as someone on camera, if you've got your talent view, whether it's on camera or off camera with you, you're able to see people commenting live, and you're actually able to interact with them.
Yeah, correct.
Which is very exciting to have that that feature, obviously. But Wowza is bringing it to us as well. So Wowza Streaming Cloud specializes also in ultra low latency, and does Zender uses them?
Yes, so they're in preview, and we have been actively participating in the preview.
Okay.
And it looks really interesting to get like 1-2 seconds latency, which is like the ultimate dream for us to get that with a platform that's managed by someone else, and we can just off the shelf kind of who takes care of all the the tech problems for us. And it's going to be really excited to do that.
Yeah, I just built a show in a studio back in Brooklyn, and the dev team and we have our stream going out at a 7-second delay, and that was exciting. That was like, oh, perfect, it's only 7 seconds. This is great. So some days it'll be 5, and we're even more excited. So hearing 2 seconds is insane. We don't have the interactivity in that way necessarily, so it's not as reliant on that. But hearing 2 seconds is fantastic. It's very exciting. So we actually have it. You wrote an article about the ultra low latency with Wowza. Mm-hmm. So can you talk to me about the article a little bit?
Yes. So the field of technology on ultra-low latency is an emerging field. So we got used to all the streaming solutions out there, and typically somewhere around 10 seconds kind of delay. And now it seems like the whole industry is scrambling to be the first one in ultra-low latency. So, because we want to use those services, I did the evaluation for about 6 or 7 of them, and kind of worked my way through it. They
reached out to you.
Well, I reached out to them, and then I can kind of put the article out to compare the different approaches. So there's either they use kind of technically WebSockets with a proprietary format, or WebRTC, or they roll their own. So yes, it's exciting because nobody really knows where it's going, and everybody wants to be the first. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's why this NAB seems very software heavy and very cloud heavy, and not so much hardware heavy, because it's like the future is the cloud.
Software eats the world, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Eats the world. In that article, there was a great graph, though, that showed from the 2016 presidential election what each platform, the delay was for each of them. And that was just a very impressive a feat to show as well, just to allow us to look at it from that perspective. Obviously, I didn't have all of those windows open at once to see what the latency was, but that put it all in really nice perspective for me, and I really liked that graph. So this switch to interactive, how do you think that's changing who companies are hiring? So a couple years ago, you wrote the DevOps Handbook, one of the authors of that, bringing the development team and the operations team together. So with this, teams being kind of joined in that way, how has that changed hiring processes, you think, or how has it changed the type of roles that companies are looking for when they are shifting towards a media brand?
Yes. So I think the difference there is that so DevOps is built by having different roles collaborate very closely. And in the media industry, it's not only the development and the operations working together. It's the content people, it's the directors, it's the people who kind of do the social promotion. So all of them working together very closely in getting fast feedback. Like, you don't have to wait for the numbers. The numbers are in real time. You see who's there. So analysis, like what we know of all the people who are online, will we change that if it's more female or male people, more children? Do we change the advertising? So this collaboration is really key. And I think the transformation that the industry is going through is that they have to let go of the broadcast model. So the unidirectional model.
Say it again.
Yes.
They have to let go of the broadcast model.
And for a lot of broadcasts, it's scary, especially during live shows. But to compare that to the YouTube stars who are used to deal with chaos, it can directly kind of get over the hoops of a live show and make it feel so natural. And that is really important. And for them, it's a mentality shift of listening to the audience in real time and not like waiting for after the show numbers or something like that. So that's what makes it exciting there.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of funny to me, the shift back towards, this is more of a, I don't know if this is a stretch, but I have a lot of theater background. And so the idea of live interaction with an audience is so natural to me. And that's not something you always get when you're live on television or online. And now that we're moving on to all this ultra low latency and we're now allowing all this interactivity, we're going back to this ancient times of how people would interact with other people. Mm-hmm. And it's the full circle of it is like, it's very exciting and also funny to me.
Yes, like everything about profanity filters, moderation in real time. This is a new field that will emerge. AI will pick that up. What gets on air and not, what gets deleted. The bots to control everything. Like Twitch already is very far in like having bots that do a lot of things automated. But now in live shows, I figure there's going to be a new industry to kind of deal with the live factor in a way that it's manageable to keep it free of any abusive things happening.
Exactly. Yeah. There's not any sort of regulations on it right now. We can very much do pretty much whatever we want. to an extent, we want to keep our audience, obviously.
Traditionally, we've delayed the stream for a couple of seconds so it could have cut off. But now with the low latency, that's not an option anymore.
Not an
so
option.
yeah.
Not an option, yeah. So we talk about, we like to think of content, I like to think of content in waves. So the first wave being communication, creator to communicator. And then we kind of developed this wave of audience engagement. Send us your comments, send us hashtag this and we'll answer your comments, or hashtag this and we'll read you live on air. And now this interactivity level of we're cutting down all of the delay of that. What do you think the next wave is going to be? Even though I know we're not fully in the interactivity wave, let's go ahead and look towards the future.
Well, how about we throw in the difference of location?
Okay.
That, we could now we're at home, but why not be in that virtual world? And then there's a lot of restrictions that would go away. Like, who am I? Can I really walk onto the scene? I don't know. It's just
like VR headset style?
Yeah, stuff like that. Zuckerberg's already planning on that. Although he might have different worries now.
I think he's got other things to think about right now.
But, that's the direction. Second Life, I don't know if you remember that. That was a virtual world that was really hot a while ago. But now we're getting up to a point that it's really possible to do that. And then the augmented reality, maybe at home, that allows you to be more in the scene, kind of get everything of the surroundings happening. You kind of experience like you are there as well.
Yeah.
Or things happening to you, like the haptic feedback, that maybe you get I don't know, when anything happens in the in the game, you also get the feedback at home. So yeah, it's scary stuff.
That is scary. Or even audience to audience engagement with that too. Of we've now created an entire room of people, which we kind of, in the simplest form of a Google Hangout with interactivity in that way, but in a way that is, this is the talent, or this is the game that you're playing, but you're also interacting with other people who are also interacting with the game. Yeah. Just the other layers.
Especially in different fan bases, like in football, you go against the others and kind of do a battle, who gets to win the toss.
Yeah.
Think about doing that with your audience, kind of who gets the advantage. What do you think about the kick? Was it fair? Instead of having somebody decide, why not let the audience decide? It's kind of,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
A football game with no referee and the audience.
Who knows?
Referee.
Yeah.
That sounds like a scary prospect, but it would be highly entertaining to watch.
We're this company already building kind of virtual stadiums to make that happen.
Oh, yes, I've heard. Okay, yes, I've heard of that. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Well, that's where it's all headed. So we're at NAB. You guys have a booth. Can you talk to me about the people that have come up to talk to you, what the topics they want to talk to you about are? Yeah.
Well, obviously low latency stream.
Obviously, yes.
And I think interactivity in general. And although we might currently, give the example that are very, common, like the trivia and that style, they also want to see where is this heading in the future, and what can we do with it. So we get a lot of people who are they're part of the digital innovation kind of team.
Okay.
And they kind of see what's going on because they want to bring in new formats in their company as a broadcaster, but even YouTube stars, they want to get more of the monetization to themselves. So it's really people who want to create the content, and then they're looking for a solution like us with Wowza are looking for a solution that's worry-free, and they can focus on what they do best.
Yeah. Are you getting a lot of broadcasters coming up to you?
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah.
We're happy.
Yeah. What's the future for Zender? What do you guys have on the horizon?
So what we need to do is that we want to focus not only on the tech, on the stable thing and the SDKs, but we want to go like you would sell TV formats, you sell digital mobile first formats.
Okay.
So with content producers, you make a new concept on that would work,
yes.
And then we could kind of provide that as a modules in our platform that a broadcaster, instead of having to build 20 apps and then go to all different people who are specialized in it, they have a one-stop shop to kind of say, oh, well, you know, we take Zender, and then we know we can add these formats to any different shows. That's kind of where we want to head in the future, yes.
Yeah, and that's great because so many things are cross-platform at this point. Even the Clearcaster is now going to be able to simulcast, so it's so important to be able to transition between different places. That's so exciting. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Patrick.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's been marvelous.
Yeah.
Again, if you guys are at NAB, please go check out the Zender booth. You're in South Upper, the booth number?
I don't know.
South Upper, close to the Wowza booth. So come say hi to us, and then we'll send you over to Zender. Again, thank you, Patrick. And tune in next every hour on the hour. We got more studio sessions for you guys.
Thank you.